Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic days wherever you may be across this country or across this great land. I am Clay Travis, and I am a fearless warrior of the internet. I hope all of you are ready to roll. We got a lot to get to. Titans have a decision to make, maybe. Could Tom Brady be interested in coming to Nashville? And if so, do you make a decision between Ryan Tannehill and Tom Brady? The NFL draft is going to be at the Bellagio. How will the impact on that be? How cool is that going to be that they're doing the draft on a stage in the middle of the fountains, if you've ever been to Vegas and seen that before? The Athletic, a venture capital startup, has hit $500 million in the most recent round of financing, including an investment from Matthew McConaughey in that Wolf of Wall Street role. Conor McGregor loves Donald Trump, although nobody else but me is going to talk about it. Hillary hates Bernie, and the Chiefs are suddenly incredibly offensive. And I want to start with the Chiefs. Right now, the number one story in all of the Twitter universe, according to Twitter, is, let me pull it up, unless they just changed it because I made fun of it. Native American journalist explains why the Chiefs are not honoring Native people. All right? Literally the number one story when I just went to Twitter, because I like to check and see, hey, what's trending today? What might I be missing? What's out there? What is going on? This is not a real story. Okay? This is a big issue that I think many of you innately know, and yet you also feel like you're living a little bit in the matrix where you're constantly being manipulated by tech companies. And I'm here to tell you, I think it's real. And I think it's real in many different facets of life. But in particular, my expertise is in the world of sports. And very few people in the country have a better understanding of what people care about in the world of sports than me. This is true. It's indisputable, all right? I have built a brand from nothing predicated on knowing how to talk about the best subjects in an entertaining and smart way. The reason why my national radio show that airs in all 50 states is up 50-some-odd% over last year, which is unheard of, and we're talking about radio, by the way, is because I'm really good. You give me a list of 20 topics, I'll tell you what America cares about. Okay? I'm good at this. I know it. The Chiefs mascot, the Chiefs nickname, is not in the top 100 today. Okay? One random guy going on social media and being offended by something, and then having a company that in far left wing agrees with him and deciding to make that a number one trending topic is not real. That is a very artificial decision made by someone who happens to share the same opinion as this guy and instead decides to make that the number one trending sports topic in America to try to put it in front of as many people as possible. It is not real. It is artificial. It is the very essence of fake news. It is someone's opinion of what the news should be that they then are allowed to rate and rate highly. I'll give you an example. I pay attention to the trending topics on Twitter for many reasons. But do you know who has never been included as a source in a trending topic in the last several years on Twitter? This guy. I have a massive audience all over the country on radio, all over the television, all over the internet, through my own site. You can go look at the number of retweets and shares that my opinions get. They dwarf, by and large, almost everyone in the world of sports media. Do you know how many times one of my opinions has been selected by Twitter to be one of the top trending sports stories in America? 0. Not one time has it ever happened. I have a lot of opinions. Many of them are widely distributed. Many of them are well shared. Do you know how many times Twitter Sports has decided, oh, Clay Travis's opinion on this topic is a major trending news source. Never. Do you know why I believe that is? Because they don't agree with my topics very often and my opinions. Well, that's content discrimination. And it's a big deal. And it's a big deal at Facebook, and it's a big deal at Twitter, and it's a big deal at Instagram. And the way that they curate the stories and decide what to actually focus on is a big deal. Now, I don't think it impacts me in a big way. I'm really successful. I make a tremendous living. And people can find me and seek me out relatively easily because I'm on nationwide radio. I'm on nationwide television. I've got a website that does good traffic. I come and talk to you guys on Periscope and Facebook. But the Kansas City Chiefs have had the same nickname for 70 years, 80 years, whatever it is. In the 50 years that they did not make the Super Bowl, do you know how many times I saw stories about the Chiefs mascot being offensive nationwide? 0. If the Chiefs had lost to the Tennessee Titans Sunday, the story would have never emerged. If you are so unbelievably offended by the Kansas City Chiefs, why did you only decide to tell us how offended you were when they actually made the Super Bowl? And why far left-wing, socially engineered sports story did you decide to suddenly tell us that the name Chiefs is offensive now when the vast majority of the American population, including Native Americans, does not agree? You are entitled to your own opinion. What I am troubled by, and I see happen increasingly often on social media, is magnified opinions which are not common, which are given credence by these companies as if they are more common. I think a lot of people see trending stories and think, oh, these are the biggest stories of the day, and they're not. They're manufactured controversy, which is not real. And take it from me, I'm in the business of talking about the sports stories that matter. And some of you are going to say, well, why are you talking about this if it doesn't matter? I think it's important for people like me to push back on stories like these and let you know when I believe they are illegitimate, okay? I struggle with this sometimes. How much attention do you give to stupidity? I think I have, thanks to my platform, an obligation to be the most reasonable person in the world of sports. People talk all the time, oh, this is a hot take. Oh, that's a crazy opinion, everything else. I make a living now off being the most reasonable person in sports. If you go look at all of my opinions, they're smack down the center just about, fastballs right down the center of the plate. I am utterly reasonable. I'm not sitting around saying all sorts of outlandish, crazy things. There are so many people being promoted for saying crazy things that there is a deep demand for people like me who are just flat out reasonable. Okay? You are being manufactured. Your opinions are being manufactured if you are active on social media. It's not real life, and worst of all, they are manufacturing it in essence as if it is real life. And this Kansas City Chiefs controversy is the latest example of it that is being artificially promoted by Twitter that isn't in any way real life. Somebody said, wait a minute, you don't believe you come from a right-wing perspective? No, I'm not remotely right-wing. I'm going to have to block this guy because he's obsessed and psychotic and he's always coming in and I always have to block him. I am 100% straight down the middle. 100%. Maybe even leaning a little bit left. I just seem like I might be leaning right because everybody else is so far left-wing. I'm pro-choice. I'm anti the death penalty. I voted for Barack Obama. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I am so close to the middle that I seem far right-wing compared to people who were offended by the Kansas City Chiefs nickname. That's the truth. That's how far left-wing the sports media is, that a guy who probably leans a little bit left of center in almost everything else, I am right down the middle compared to everybody else. I seem like I'm a right-winger because everything is so far left-wing. It's crazy. All right. Let's talk about a sports story. Go follow it. Read a couple of my tweets if you want. I'm at Clay Travis on Twitter. If you haven't followed me there, Facebook, you can go follow me there as well. Tannehill versus Brady. The Titans have an interesting decision to make here. Should they go after Ryan Tannehill and sign him to a multi-year extension? Or if Tom Brady is truly going to leave the Patriots, and I think it's going to turn into a battle over whether the Patriots will give him a 1 or a 2-year contract, tell me what you would do. Would you, and this is a poll question that was up, it was nearly 50-50. Facebook as well, also with Twitter. Would you sign Ryan Tannehill for a 2-year guarantee, or would you sign Tom Brady? I think it's an interesting dilemma. The Titans have a lot of talent at offense. A.J. Brown's going to be one of the 10 best young wide receivers in the NFL. Jonnu Smith is a pretty talented tight end. Offensive line is young and talented. You also have a decent wide receiver in Corey Davis. More importantly, you probably have the best running back in the NFL in Derrick Henry. What would Tom Brady, even at the age of 43, if you signed him for 2 years, be capable of if he were able to hand off to Derrick Henry? I think that would be a question you have to answer. How much has Tom Brady's talent fallen off? How much of Ryan Tannehill's success this year was a statistical aberration versus the real life? I think all of these are fantastic questions that don't have particularly easy answers. And as a result, I think you have to sit around and contemplate how exactly you're going to make this decision. Brady, probably you could get him for around $50 million over 2 years. Maybe you could get Ryan Tannehill for the same amount. What you have to be careful of is Ryan Tannehill fool's gold? Is he Nick Foles 2.0? Or is he a guy that can continue to get better, and if you give him the offseason to work with the offense and you give him the reins of the franchise starting the season as opposed to in the 7th game, there's a lot higher rate of success. I don't claim to know the answer. That's a big decision for the Titans GM, but I do believe if you're Tom Brady, I actually agree here with Stephen A. Smith and with Charles Davis, who we had on my program this morning on the radio show. I believe that you have to consider Brady. And I also believe that of all the teams Tom Brady could go to, the team that potentially could allow him to win the fastest is Tom Brady going potentially to the Titans. I think it's probably the best option if he leaves the Patriots. It's a tough call. I don't think it's an easy decision. We'll have to wait and see. Tannehill versus Brady. I'll give you the latest example. A ton of you actually voted on this, and I want to see what the actual numbers reflect. Let's see here. The most recent number, who would you sign, Tannehill or Brady? Tens of thousands of you voted, and the results are 52% of you said Brady, 48% of you said Tannehill. That's close to 50-50 indeed. All right. Did you guys see the graphics? Maybe we can put the graphics in on the short clip that we're going to share here. How about the NFL taking the draft this year to Las Vegas? They are going to do it inside of the Bellagio fountain. They're building a floating stage, and they are going to bring the draft picks by boat to the stage where you will be able to see them climb out of the boat and go hug Commissioner Roger Goodell. I love this. I got to say, the NFL's decision to take the draft on the road, whether it was Philly, Chicago, Nashville last year, now going to Dallas, I believe they did it as well, now going to Vegas, it's brilliant. If you have been to Vegas and you've seen the Bellagio show in the fountains, you know that the Bellagio is killing it when they can just build in the middle of a desert a big floating a big floating rink full of fountains. That's a phenomenal place to have the draft. We need to take Lock It In out there and do the show live with Fox from the NFL draft. That would be a lot of fun. I love this choice. Props to the NFL. Brilliant decision. Take over a weekend in April. Have a phenomenal time. I can't wait for this already. Almost choked up there. It's going to be phenomenal. I do think they need to make gambling on the NFL draft, even more popular than it already is. They need to allow everybody to gamble on over-unders, who's going to pick who, all that stuff. I know somebody knows, but there's so much uncertainty in the draft. I think allowing people to bet before the draft starts, it would be a lot of fun to do that. I think it's a phenomenal idea in general. How about The Athletic? $500 million being raised. Wow. At a $500 million valuation, I'm sorry. This now becomes the most successful sports media startup in history. I got to give props to The Athletic. Bleacher Report sold, I believe, for around $180 million. Rivals sold for the first time around $150 million. 24/7 Sports around $180 million-ish. Maybe Barstool will sell for around $250 million-ish. That's the number that I've heard being bandied about if they are sold. So The Athletic, twice as successful as Barstool, way more successful than Bleacher Report, certainly way more successful than anything that I built, and I've gotten rich off starting OutKick. I can't even imagine how much higher it can go. They got Matthew McConaughey investing in it now. Their model, from a business perspective, is all subscriptions, and they are raising money at an incredibly high rate. Now, they still haven't actually been profitable. So they say in the article that came out from Axios that they hope this year to become profitable in 2020. They have over 500 employees, but again, they have raised right at $500 million valuation. They raised $50 million in their newest round. They have raised over $150 million total. It's a phenomenal story. Phenomenal story of success. I got to say, I am blown away by how well this thing has gone. All right? It is just absolutely incredible. So, congratulations to The Athletic and all their employees. I do wonder, where's the resting point? Is somebody going to buy this? Because at $500 million, the number of companies that are going to be able to afford it continue to roll down in terms of, is it going to be $1 billion company? Are they going to run it totally without anybody else in the years ahead? Is it going to turn into a multi-billion-dollar company? Could somebody like, I don't know, I now wonder whether another subscription-based model could decide to buy it. For instance, would it make sense potentially for a company like DAZN that is in the subscription business to go buy The Athletic and roll it in as a part of its subscription? What about ESPN Plus? Could it make sense for ESPN Plus to buy The Athletic, roll all of the ESPN Plus content in as part of the larger subscription cost? I think that could be an interesting move as well, but props to The Athletic for blowing up in the way that it has so far. What do you got? My wife is bringing contracts here for me to sign. Where do I need to sign? Right here? There's no telling what I've just signed away. I've gotten rich, and I might have just signed it all the way to my wife because I have no idea what the form was that she just put in front of me. What? She said she wishes I had just signed away everything to her. I have no idea. It might be divorce papers. I might have just given away everything. So anyway, that is props to The Athletic. How about another story? Did you see where Conor McGregor came out and said that he absolutely loves Donald Trump? Probably not, because somehow Conor McGregor praising Donald Trump is not a story, but Megan Rapinoe and Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich and LeBron James regularly ripping Donald Trump to the high heavens is a story. Conor McGregor went on Twitter and said, "Phenomenal president," in response to Donald Trump. Quite possibly the USA's GOAT. Most certainly one of them anyway, as he sits atop the shoulders of many amazing giants that came before him. No easy feat. Wrong feat, but I'll give the man a pass. F-E-A-T, not like the feet that you have on your feet. Early stages of term also incredible. Congrats and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, America. That is Conor McGregor. Let me ask you this. If everything that Popovich and Kerr and LeBron and Megan Rapinoe say that denigrates all the time, that denigrates the President of the United States is regularly considered a top story. Why isn't Conor McGregor praising Donald Trump a top story? Conor McGregor's way more famous than Megan Rapinoe. He's way more famous than Steve Kerr. He's way more famous than Greg Popovich. And he's not that much less famous than LeBron James. So why is it that if an athlete denigrates, desecrates, and insults the President of the United States, it is immediately a top story for the sports media? But when someone like Conor McGregor comes out and praises the president, it gets absolutely no attention. There isn't in any way a justification for it, other than the media gives credence and coverage to people who have the same opinion as the media. And if you doubt me, follow me along on this. Megan Rapinoe was named Sportswoman of the Year by SI. If she had had the exact same on-field results as she did in the Women's World Cup, but she had been an avowed supporter of Donald Trump as opposed to an avowed hater of Donald Trump, would she have gotten the Sportsman of the Year award? The answer, my friends, is I think you know. No, she would not have. So what the sports media is really doing is not rewarding her for her athleticism or her athletic achievements. They are rewarding her for having the same political opinions as them. Even crazier, they are praising her for being brave enough to have the same political opinions as them. It's the height of hypocrisy. Conor McGregor comes out, loves the president. Nobody says anything. Doesn't get an ounce of attention. Megan Rapinoe, Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, LeBron James denigrate the president. It's #1 story in America, in the world of sports. Entire LSU football team goes to the White House. Nobody talks about it. A couple of players don't go to the White House. It's #1 story in America. Donald Trump goes to the Nationals game and gets booed. #1 story in America. Donald Trump goes to LSU Alabama and LSU Clemson. The entire stadium stands, cheers, and chants USA. It's not a story. Not a story at all. It completely disappears. It isn't remotely talked about. It's because the media is not fair. They, by and large, are cheering for people who have opinions that agree with them, and they are denigrating and downing and criticizing anyone who disagrees with them. It's wild. It's wild. I just come right down the middle, most reasonable man in America, and I call it like I see it. I call balls and strikes. And the sports media is so far left-wing, they believe Caitlyn Jenner is the greatest hero in the history of mankind, that I seem like a right-wing ideologue because I'm just normal. All right, a couple more controversies out there. How about Hillary? Did you see what Hillary said about Bernie? Hillary hates Bernie. This morning, Hillary, in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter that came out, Hillary said of Bernie Sanders, he was in Congress for years. He had one senator support him. Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to work with him. He got nothing done. He was a career politician. It's all just baloney, and I feel so bad that people got sucked into it. I actually agree with Hillary here. I think Bernie's a fraud. I think Bernie Sanders is the worst possible nominee that the Democratic Party can pick, because I think he will get nothing done, and I think ultimately he'll end up getting his ass kicked by Donald Trump. And Hillary Clinton, you might not like her, but she's infinitely more capable of getting things done than Bernie Sanders, and I think she's right. Nobody likes Bernie. Nobody enjoys working with him. Nobody gets along with him. Bernie is a fraud, and I think he would get exposed by Donald Trump. I think Elizabeth Warren would get exposed by Donald Trump as well. I think the best nominee the Democrats could come out with is Joe Biden. And I'm not sure Joe Biden wins. I also think Mayor Pete would lose. I think that maybe Senator Klobuchar, whose name I always have trouble saying, out of Minnesota could do decently, but I don't think she's going to end up in the mix. I think Tulsi Gabbard would be intriguing, as would Andrew Yang. But I think Bernie and all the Bernie bros and all the socialists out there who hate capitalism, they would get the Democrats walloped. I think Hillary's right here. And I think she's probably trying to help out Joe Biden. If Joe Biden wins Iowa or New Hampshire, I think he's going to sweep to the nomination. Wins Iowa or New Hampshire, certainly if he wins both, and he's in the running to win both. If he wins either of them, Biden's going to be your nominee, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close. And I happen to think it's down to, in my opinion, Biden and Bernie Sanders. I think those are the only two Democrats who can get the nomination now. All right, I love all of you. I got to go do television. Lock it in. 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 2:30 Mountain, 1:30 Pacific. Kisses, DBAP unless you need to SBAP. Use your brains. Don't get seduced by the stupidity you see on social media. Remember, much of it is a funhouse mirror. It ain't real. Love all of you. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you on FS1 in about 30 minutes. See y'all. Kisses. Love you. Thank you, Facebook.